to reach me, okay?
All right. Yeah, Demileke, the webinar has officially started. We'll just probably wait for people to join. I know
Okay.
there's every possibility they've been trying to join. Okay, let me just share my screen. Wow. Where are we? Let me extend the screen. No, no, do show it here.
Okay.
Okay, we have people joining already. All right, good morning, everyone. Or good afternoon or good evening from wherever you may be in any part of the world. We'll just try and give people some time to join, maybe the next 4 minutes. That means we're going to be starting at exactly 10 minutes past 11. So let's just allow others to join in. We're looking forward to an exciting session this morning. And I think for me, one thing that is interesting about this particular topic, yeah, maybe because I'm passionate about growth marketing, is because there is a data element, you know, which is not something we usually take seriously back home. Well, I think Gbemileke is here to provide insight into how we can start adapting data science into marketing. So in the next 3 minutes, we are going to start. So you can just also drop people some notes in the group, in the GMM group that the session is about to start. Yeah, can you see my screen? You can see my screen, right?
Yes.
All right, yeah. So we just wait for next 2 minutes, then we get started. That is fine. Let me also drop them a note. Yeah. Okay. How did this happen? Let me stop sharing. Let me convert this to just one screen. Thank you. Okay, I was sharing something else. What I was saying. All right, we have just 1 minute to go. Okay. All right, guys, let's get started. I would probably take some introduction, then I would hand over to our speaker of today in person of Bimileke Adeoti. But thanks so much for joining. For those who are able to join on time, as much as possible, we'll also try and make this session very brief and impactful. So just as a way of introduction, welcome to Association of Digital Marketing Professionals, ADMAP. To talk about who we are, what is our vision? Oh God, sorry, this is messing up my screen. What is our mission? Our mission at ADMAP is to drive the adoption of digital marketing and improve the knowledge, skills, conduct, and practice of the profession in Nigeria. This is what we've set out to do, and as much as possible, we're trying to stick to that mission. If you get to our website, www.admap.com, there are a lot of important things you gain in terms of what we do, what our objectives are, and you can get more information about who we are, what we offer. I think, or I believe, ADMAP is one of the longest community of digital marketing and marketing professionals in Nigeria. If you ask me, it started back as far as 2017. We became ADMAP in 2018, in all of the stories. Yeah, so what you get is a very strong network of professionals, and there are a lot of benefits. There's membership benefits, there's a community benefits, and there is a job placement and opportunities as also a benefit. So how can you become a certified member of ADMAP? You can either become an associate member, a professional member, a corporate member. We also, have organizations join us as a member. So whatever suits you or your needs, you can log on to admap.com to get an information about how to join us and become our members. So let's quickly look at our coming webinar. So like I said earlier, one of the things we do is to empower our members with knowledge, with insight, with capabilities in terms of relevant and updated knowledge within the field of marketing, especially as it relates to digital and growth, if you ask me. So today we are going to be looking at data science concepts every good marketer should know. But I'll say every marketer at this point. So whether you're into growth marketing or you're into marketing or you're into digital marketing, I believe from the sneak peek I had on Bemileke's slides, I believe every marketer should have an idea of what role data is playing in marketing. So we are going to be having this session today, and what you're going to learn is understanding and applying statistical concepts to growth marketing or to marketing as a whole. So in the next 2 weeks, again, we are going to be driving profits through search engine optimization. This is also going to be another very interesting session. And I said that because we all understand how important SEO is today in the marketing landscape or in the business. I started out myself also as an content then to SEO, So I'm a stickler for anything search engine. So this is a session you also don't want to miss, especially if you are looking at driving growth with a very little budget. Then the next one will be on, okay, this is supposed to come before SEO. This is coming next week. We are going to be having our Mama PR in person of Tolu to lead us on corporate communications in digital age. How you can leverage a digital platform to sustain corporate reputation, secure public trust, and improve talent retention or talent attraction. That's a lot in one. So these are sessions you don't want to miss, and they are strictly for ADMAP members or those who belong to the DMM community. Is our own way of showing value. So just to go back to our speaker for today, I would like to do some bit of, let me stop sharing. I'd like to do some bit of introduction so that you all can have an idea of who our speaker for today is in person of Bemileke. So just 1 minute to access a powerful a very strong profile. I think I'll be doing myself a very great dishonor if I don't read the profile of our speaker today. So just as a way of introduction, Gbemileke Adeoti is a growth marketing professional with nearly a decade of experience in performance marketing, conversion rate optimization, and data science. His passion for data-driven marketing led him into the field of data science, where he further honed his skills on how to improve marketing campaigns by making data-driven decisions. He currently leads the growth marketing team at Expedia, a global money app serving the needs of unbanked and undeserved populations in Canada, US, and Nigeria. He writes for PPC Live UK, the largest community of performance marketing professionals in the United Kingdom, and has been featured in articles in Search Engine Land and Paid Search Association USA. He spends his leisure in the park playing Sudoku and binge watching crime movie series. Join me as I welcome our speaker, Gbemileke Adeoti. Gbemi, you're welcome. We are looking forward to an exciting session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Toby. Good morning, everyone, or from wherever you're joining us from. It's a pleasure to be here. I've been an ADMAC member for close to 7 years now, as far as I can remember. And I do believe that one of the benefits that we enjoy in ADMAP is the love of community. I like to tell people that a lot of the jobs that I got while I was in Nigeria came through ADMAP. A lot of the opportunities that I got came through ADMAP and DMM. And that was not because they were trying to be partial, but that was simply because of the strength of that community, right? And I would like anyone who is not a member of ADMAP, who is on this call today, or who knows someone who could benefit from ADMAP, to actually proactively get people involved, because that community is not something that this community is not something that you just stumble upon, right? A lot of people need the kind of knowledge and understanding that comes through ADMAP and DMM, and it's just a privilege to actually speak to those of us here today. Thank you all for joining this early. I'll go on and share my slides, but before I share my slides, I'd like to just tell a story about before I go on my presentation, just tell a story about what some of the things, what my growth journey has been. So I started doing performance and PPC in the early days of my career by just stumbling on Facebook ads, right? And I realized that marketing is a numbers game. Marketing is something that you don't just do guesswork to do. And I really wanted to do more. And I started, in my university years, I had known that there was something called data science. I knew that there was something called data analysis, but I never really took time to understand it until a few years after I started to do performance marketing, and I realized that my performance marketing makes no sense without understanding the numbers that is driving it. So I realized that data science was not something that I should just treat casually, and then I decided to start to take courses in SQL, start to take courses in Python, start to understand some of the rudiments of data science, do a little bit more of advanced Excel beyond, and then beyond just taking up all of these tools, understand the foundational statistics that drives these things. Because one of the things I've realized when someone says that I do marketing analytics or I do data science for marketing, one of the things that mistakes people make is that they learn tools, they don't understand concepts, right? So you see people talking about creating dashboards on Power BI. That's wonderful, right? But do you understand the statistical concepts or the data concepts that drive all of these numbers, right? Can you make further sense from the numbers that you see beyond what your dashboard is telling you? Can you look beyond the veil? And those are some of the things that I want to share here today, because you need to be able to look beyond your numbers and say, what is this number not telling me that I can by myself without asking a data analyst or telling the data analyst of my team to help me to do? Right? Can I look beyond the veil myself and properly plan and execute my campaigns? Because one thing is you must realize is that as a marketer, right, it is the quality of information or the quality of requests that you give your data scientist on your marketing team or in your organization to get from you that you would get from your data. They would not give you what you did not ask for. And so that's why you must understand a little bit of what they do as a data scientist or a data analyst so that you can get more sense from your data. It's not enough to just say, okay, this is what I've been given, and then all I know is click-through rates, click-view rates. All I know is how many people came in through this particular channel. You must be able to sit down at the numbers so that you can get more benefits, because it would even help the data scientists on your team to work better, right? It will help them to give you better insights than you regularly wouldn't have gotten if you did not understand their job a little bit more. I'm not saying you should go on and take their job. I'm saying that you need the skill, that you need some of the understanding of the concepts that they understand to be able to get much benefit from the role that is in within your team, because a data scientist has a lot to offer marketing, but one of the things in the landscape currently is that relationship is there, but there isn't so much of input that the data scientist is able to give the marketing team, because of the fact that there isn't enough understanding of data on the part of the marketer. Now, and by data, I don't just mean the numbers. I mean this concept, the nitty-gritty of it. And I'm going to just show us the outline. So we'll take a small quiz or a question to start, and then I'll try to give us the difference or the relationship between data and statistics so that we can understand that this is just beyond the information that you have, but there are some other things that you need to understand. Statistical concepts will be our next thing, and then we'll move into standard deviation a little bit. We'll touch a bit on regression analysis and linear versus multiple regression. Then I'm going to also do a little bit of a note on attribution. So this is pretty much straight to the point. I wouldn't take much of our time. I've got this quiz here that I would like us to think about, or this question I'd like us to think about. Say, for example, you work in an e-commerce store, or you are consulting for an e-commerce store that sells fashion products, and they are planning a Black Friday discount for their customers, right? Within the next few weeks, we'll start to see all of those campaigns around Black Friday all around the world, right? Because Black Friday is close. And the goal of Black Friday and other discounts is to maximize revenue and attract more customers, right? You know from the data that you have that the average order value for all of your customers within the period that you're considering, say 12 months, is $80, and the lowest order value is $35. You also know that the highest order value is above $100 based on the data that you have. How will you approach this, right? How would you look into, how would you create these campaigns for your customers? How would you plan your Black Friday discount for your customers, right? The reason why you should, the typical way that people tend to do it is to just arbitrarily assign discounts, say a discount of less than $35 to our customers. And one of the ways that marketers like to do, one of the reasons why we like to do this as marketers is because we think when you offer a late discount, right, you save the company some money. Let us just give them a little bit of a discount, and then they can pay off whatever is left, right? Some other marketers tend to go the route of, okay, a discount of less than 35% to customers who spend $100. That is a discount of a particular amount based on threshold that you spend. While this is good, right, there are better ways to approach this kind of a problem that would help you to deliver best results, not just for the business, but also ensure that you are targeting your customers at their level. I will move on while we consider this quiz. I will come back to answer this question sometimes during this presentation. So what if we understood how much data works beyond the buzzword? What if we understand how it works? What if we understand what the numbers tell us beyond what we see on our dashboards, or the averages that we try to calculate, or the trends that we try to see in our charts? What if we understood statistical concepts better? What would their understanding of statistical concepts help us to use data to do? Because and I've been saying data and statistics, right? And I think it's time to properly draw the line between what difference these two concepts are. So data is basically a collection of facts. It's quantitative and qualitative information. For instance, sales data over the last 12 months. For instance, Facebook ad spend data over the last 19 months. That's just data, right? They are just numbers. It's just information. But by the time you transform that information into presentations and interpret it and analyze it, is when you now have statistics. So I beg to differ that a lot of what people call data analysis is actually statistics, right? What a lot of people come and say is that you are trying to analyze data is actually you doing statistics, because of the fact that you are trying to present and organize data in a way that you can make sense of it. So when you try to make sense of data is when you have statistics. So the relationship is essentially that data is raw information and statistics are the results of your analysis, right? So for instance, now if you are looking at the total number of an example of data simply is sales data, and then an example of statistics will be the average data or the average or the most frequent order value in that particular data set. Let me give an example. Okay, this slide just says that we get the best from data, we must understand how to manipulate it. Data is incomplete without analysis, and your analysis is half-baked without you understanding some statistical concepts. So these are some statistical concepts that every primary two pupil, everyone in JSS 1, JSS 2 should understand. Mean, median, and mode, right? Mean is the average of a given set of numbers. Median is the middle number or the middle of event or the middle of occurrence, and then the mode is the most frequently occurring. Now, these statistical concepts are wonderful in the sense that you can easily gives you a basic understanding of how your data is spread, right? You understand that okay, the average of a set of numbers, for instance, is for this set of numbers that is on the slide for 2, 6, 7 up until 26, the mean or the average is 14.2, right? And then the most frequently occurring number is 7, and then the median is this is a set of 10 numbers, so that will be the 5th number and the 6th number divided by 2 will give you 15, right? Again, I'll go over that again. Your average is when you sum everything and divide by the number of occurrences, which is the number of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down to 10. And then when you sum that up, you get 14.2. And then your mode is the most frequently occurring. 7 occurs more than once or more than any other number in this data set. And so that is your mode. And then your median is 13 plus 17 divided by 2, which gives you 15. Now, these are basic statistical concepts, but there are some not so basic ones, right? That we often tend to shy away from, maybe because we think it is very complex. One of such is standard deviation, right? What is standard deviation? It's simply a measure of how dispersed your data is. So if you have a set of numbers, right, what standard deviation helps you to understand is how spread about those numbers are, right? If you have sales data from January to September, right, or January to August, for instance, when you are calculating standard deviation helps you to measure how spread about that data is, particularly in relation to the average. When you have sales data, typically when you have data in marketing, one of the things that we like to do a lot is to just look at the average and say that measures how we've performed over the last 12 months, right? Why that is true, right? You could also be missing some important information about how your data set is changing, right? How your sales trend has been over the last 12 months, right? Because of the fact that you are only concentrated on the average, an average of 3, 7, and 13, for instance, right, would weigh more towards the side of 13 because 3 plus 7 is not even up to 13 itself, right? So an average would weigh towards the side of 13 than it will weigh towards the side of 3 or 7. What that means is that you need more than the average of a set of numbers. If you have low numbers or low figures and high figures, right, it is very possible that your average will be more towards the higher numbers, that you will forget the effect or the importance that your smaller numbers are given to the entire data set. So standard deviation helps you to understand how spread about this entire data set is from the average. So if you have a low standard deviation, it means that your data is clustered tightly around the mean. What that means is that your data is not spread out, right? Because the deviation from your mean, because it's a standard deviation from the mean. So the rate at which your data, the level at which your data varies from the average is low. That means you have a small standard deviation because they are clustered around your average or your mean. But when you have a higher standard deviation, it means that your data is more spread out, right? And it's very simple. I've been saying standard deviation and it looks like a very complex concept. If you Google formula for standard deviation now, you will see one, what I like to call it something, a very difficult mountain to climb for someone who does not understand statistics in detail. But there's a simple way to do it on Excel or on spreadsheets. Is to just look at your set of numbers and highlight everything and enter the formula equals to standard dev.s or standard dev.p, right? The difference between these two calculations is that one measures all of your data points or occurrences, right? And then the other one removes the last data point, right? Or the first data point, depending on how you set the formula on Excel, right? So one of them just tells you, okay, this is this is the standard deviation from all of the occurrences. But then in the practical sense of it, whichever one you choose does not exactly matter because of the fact that you eventually just lose one data point, right? Rather than losing the effect of an entire data set. I'm going to move on now to give us an example of how the standard deviation works, right? Given a set of numbers 2, 6, 7, 13, 17, 18, 21, 25, 26, and 7, right? The standard deviation from the mean, we already calculated the mean of these numbers earlier as 14.2, right? When you calculate the standard deviation of these numbers, you'll find it as 8.97. What it means is that most of these numbers are approximately 9 points different from the average. That's essentially what standard deviation is. How different are your numbers from the average, right? How different is your data from the average of that data, right? And that means most of the numbers in this data set, they fall between the range of 14 plus or minus 9, right? And if you look at your data, the data that we have on the first line here, you see that most of this data falls between the number 5 and 23, which is essentially 14 plus or minus 9, right? There are only 4 of the numbers here, right, that do not fall between that particular range. So that's what standard deviation helps to say about your data, how spread about it is, right? Because of the fact that we tend to move beyond, we tend to be much more focused on the average, but standard deviation could help us see some of the things that we are not seeing about our data. And I'll give an example that is practical to marketing. Remember my question earlier when I talked about an e-commerce store that sells fashion products, right? It is very typical to just assign arbitrary value to your discount here. Maybe you just look at the average and say, okay, or recent average and say, this is what the discount should be. Or you just look at how much is the minimum spend, right? And you just assign it based on the minimum spend or the minimum average value. But a better way to approach this, right, is to first of all analyze the historical data of your customers. Find out the amount they spend per order, right? How much is your average order value, right? Find your average. When you know your average, you now need to find the standard deviation of your order. So if, for example, now you look at your data and then you realize that the average order value is $80, right? That means the average amount a customer comes to spend in your e-commerce store is $80 on the average. Of course, there will be some that will be a lot more than that. There will be some that will be a lot less than that, right? And then you realize, and then you calculate your standard deviation of the orders, and the result is 20. What this means for you is that most of your orders falls between the range of $60 and $100. Why? Because that is 80 plus or minus 20. Your average plus or minus your standard deviation, right? That's how spread your data set is, or your other values are. So most people come to your store to buy, to purchase between between $60 and $100 worth of items. Now, because you have this information, you are now able to look at your customer base to say, who are those customers whose orders are typically below $60, right? Who are those customers who spend between $60 and $100? Those are those that fall within the range of your standard deviation. And then who are those who spend above $100, right? When you're able to segment your customers this way, you are able to identify your low spenders separately from your average spenders, separately from your high spenders, right? What that does for you is that you can now understand how to properly target these guys, give them targeted discounts that will eventually lead to better results for you. Because if you assign an arbitrary value to all of these numbers, all of these customers, you are not likely to give them what they will want. First of all, what will be attractive to them in terms of discounts. You are also likely to give discounts that would not be attractive to them, right? You are also likely to give them discounts that will either be too difficult for them to earn, or to match, or you're going to give them a discount that is too easy for them to attain, as it were. So if you look at this, what I've put here, I said that for low spenders, right, if you give them a $10 discount on orders above $70, what you are going to do is that, because their typical orders fall below $60, right, they will tend to see that extra $10 as an opportunity to spend more, so that they move close, such that your average order value now moves closer to your average, right? So the average order value for these low spenders would increase because of the fact that you have given them a discount that is at their level, right? You have not just assigned arbitrary values to all of the discounts that you're trying to give them, to say, okay, offer $25 discount to someone that is not even spending up to $60, right? While that would attract the person, but you'll be throwing money away as a marketer, because this person typically spends below $60, and you're already giving them $25 discount, right? What you could have done is to give someone who spends a lot more benefits, so that they can spend more, and then someone who isn't spending so much, right, a much more targeted discount that would propel them to spend beyond what they would normally spend, right? If you offer a $10 discount to someone who's on orders above $70, right, someone who is a low spender is more likely to increase the average order value and move it closer to your average, right? Because 10 plus 70 gives us our average of 80, right? And then for your average spenders, if you offer them a 15% discount on average, on a 15% discount on orders above $100, what you are going to do is that you make them to spend slightly more, and then they're able to enter the higher spender category, right? For those who are high spenders, right, they already spend above $100, but what you want to do is to get them to spend more. Give them a 25% discount, such that someone who typically spends $110 on your store would now want to spend more than $150 to get $25, because in essence, they are not spending 150, they are actually spending 125, right? And that is just a little push beyond what they would normally have spent, right? So you would, in essence, looking at this, you would make more money from your customers. Your customers would feel a lot more, feel like you understand their needs at the level that they are, and at the spend level that they are in your store, and you're able to drive revenue without necessarily assigning an arbitrary value for all of your discounts, right? So in essence, what you can use standard deviation to do as a growth marketer is to analyze, to segment, to target, and to get results, right? You can analyze the historical data. This is just to summarize what I've said over the past few minutes. To say that you need to first of all determine how spread your order value is. You now need to use that spread to segment your customers and compare them to the mean, and then plan different discounts for each target segment. And then you achieve real and predictable increase in revenue, because you can tell that this is meeting the customer at the level that they can understand, right? I'm going to take a pause. Do I take questions now or later, Toby?
Yes, so I think you can continue. Please, if anyone has question, you can just drop it in the chat or in the Q&A box. And once you're done, we'll pick up the question. I'll also ask you some questions if there are no questions at the moment, but you can go ahead until you're done.
All right. Then another statistical concept is regression analysis. Now, when people hear this regression analysis, it could be scary. One of the things that I said I was going to do during this session is to try not to make these things scary. Because when people first of all hear data science, you hear things like models, machine learning models. While that is very good, right? There are basic things that you need to understand that you don't need to build a model for, or know Python for, or even know advanced Excel. All right, you just need to put in a formula on Excel and get your result. So one of such is regression analysis, right? There are two types of regression analysis, and one of it is linear regression. Helps you to identify the relationship between a dependent and one or more independent variables. First, let me explain what regression means. Now, if you have two sets of data, say Facebook ad spend and sales data, right? Regression essentially helps you to understand how these two factors, how your Facebook ad spend influences your sales data, and using that understanding to predict the future performance, right? It looks at your historical data to say, based on how much you have spent and how much you have made from this particular marketing expense, right? We can predict that over the next 2 years, this is what you are likely to make. Again, it is prediction, right? It's not a fact, right? In the sense that it just gives you data based on your historic data. However, one of the problems that we often face in marketing is we are spending money, or you have marketing expense across 6 or 7 different channels. How do you now properly attribute what particular marketing campaign or what particular marketing effort or marketing channel is giving you the results to be able to now say, this is where I should put more of my money, this is where I should put less of my money, right? I'm going to get to that in a bit. But the difference between linear and multiple is essentially that for linear regression, it helps you to predict one variable against several independent variables, or one or more independent variables. But for multiple regression, it helps you to understand how multiple variables play a part in your analysis. So for instance, now, if you for a linear regression problem would be would be Facebook ad spend or Google ad spend versus sales data or revenue. But in multiple regression, you have things like email marketing spend plus Facebook ad spend plus Google ad spend plus SEO spend plus PR plus the money you spent on events plus the billboard and the banners that you have out there. All of those variables, right, against your sales data. that's a multiple regression problem. When you have all of those variables against your sales data, that's a multiple regression problem in the sense that there are several data points and several things that could have affected the result of your marketing campaigns. Right? It could have been that someone saw the billboard before they saw the Facebook ad, and then they later saw an SEO article. Right? How do you properly give how do you properly make sense of all of this data to say this is exactly this is what is more likely to predict sales or to predict results? That's where regression and multiple regression comes in, right? If we are going to apply regression analysis to growth, I'm going to give another example of an e-commerce store, right? An e-commerce store invests in various digital marketing channels, including Facebook ads, Google ads, and email marketing. Your goal is to understand how your marketing spend impacts overall revenue and to predict future sales based on budget allocation, right? So what this helps you to do is to not just understand what has gone on with your campaigns, but to be able to predict sales based on how much budget you are allocating to them, right? For linear regression, what you typically do is to first of all analyze how a single channel affects influences revenue, right? Because it's linear in the sense that it is A versus B or X versus Y. How does X directly impact Y? How does A directly impact B? Right? It is not, you are not looking at any other marketing spend. You're not looking at any other marketing channel. You are focused on just one channel. And you are saying that this is how much we made last month. This is how much we spent on Facebook ads, right? How does this and what is the direct relationship between these two? Right, what you typically do is to use your historical data on Facebook ads and monthly revenue, and then you perform a linear regression analysis with ad spend as the independent variable and revenue as the dependent variable. Again, this may look complex to do, but on your Excel and spreadsheets, you can oh, I missed out the formula. I'll get out the formula sometimes in this talk. You can typically perform this analysis without necessarily breaking a sweat, right? Again, I'm not here to tell us things that you would need someone else to do for you, right? You can perform this right on Excel, and then for every 1,000 increase in ad spend, you realize that for every 1,000 increase in ad spend, your revenue increases by $5,000, right? But then this does not account for the effects of other channels. So you're still limited to say, am I sure it is the Facebook ads that brought this thing? Am I sure it is because we spend money on billboard that this is happening? And that is now where multiple regression comes in. You are able to look at the combined impact of multiple marketing channels, Facebook ads, Google ads, and SEO on revenue, right? Your independent variables are X1, X2, X3, for instance, and that's how we tend to write it in data to say, okay, this is X versus Y. So your independent variables are your X1, your X2, and your X3, and they could be your Facebook ad spend, your SEO spend, your email marketing spend, whatever amount you are spending, right? And then your dependent variable is your overall monthly revenue, right? From your results, you find out that Facebook has a strong positive effect on revenue, and then Google Ads contributes, but the effect is smaller. And then SEO has a high correlation. Now, this is just making an assumption to explain something, right? If we assume that these are the results that we get, right, and then you now say that your regression equation in that case will look like this, because we have said that Facebook has a strong impact on revenue, right? That means your impact on revenue from your Facebook ads will carry a higher coefficient of the variable. Again, the coefficient is just a number before a letter in an equation. It's not it's nothing to it's not a very complex concept. So in this equation now, we have three coefficients: 4.5, 2.0, and 3.0, right? This is just you saying that Facebook ads gives 4.5 times the effect to your revenue. Google ads gives 2.02 times the effect, and then SEO spend is 3 times the effect, right? So essentially what you're saying is that your Facebook ads and your SEO tend to impact more on revenue than your Google ad spend, right? And so what the equation helps you to understand is that if you spend 1,000, if you increase your ad spend on Facebook by 1,000, right, you get 4.5 times the effect on your revenue. If you increase your Google ad spend by 1,000, you get 2 times the revenue, right? And then if you increase your email marketing spend or your SEO spend by 1,000, right, you get 3 times of that value in revenue, right? And so you are now able to look at this effect to say, okay, if I spend this amount, this is how much I'm going to get. It makes it easier for you to allocate your budget to be able to say, this is what this particular channel is likely to give me. Again, this is prediction, right? And you must understand as a marketer that when you make predictions on data on your marketing space, there's a likelihood that things may change. Trends may cause your Facebook ads to add results to surge a little bit more. You could accidentally start a trend on Twitter based on your ads accidentally, right? There are brands that accidentally just start a trend like that. So a lot of other external variables are there. But what this helps you to do is that you can predict directly if other things are equal. You can predict what you are likely to get from your marketing spend better than just looking at each channel on its own, based on its own strength. You're able to look at all the channels in a much more complex and much more holistic system. What does this help us? How does multiple regression help us with attribution? Right? It is able, if you are able to do your multiple regression well, you realize that you can isolate the impact of each channel from the different from every other channel, right? In the sense that you're able to tell what your Facebook ads is bringing you that your Google ads is not bringing you, because you are using coefficients to determine the effects of each of those channels, right? It also helps you to account for cross-channel interactions. Like the example I gave earlier, someone sees a billboard and then sees an SEO content and then goes on Twitter and then sees a tweet about your brand. How do you measure all of that, right? Multiple regression, looking at the data on sales and the efforts that you have made on each of these channels, the amount you have spent on each of these channels helps you to account for these interactions, right? And then you no longer have to rely on last click alone for your attribution clarity. You no longer have to say that it is when someone clicks. You no longer have to say that every single result that your attribution models are giving you is as a result of last click. You can look at data to say no. To say it may not just have been last click. It could have been this other part of the entire marketing spend that produced these results. Right. I would stop there. I think we've gone on for about an hour now, and take questions. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I hope I have not confused us. Yeah, I would just stop there for now. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Bemi. Hi, guys. I don't know if you guys have questions for Bemi at this time, or if OT has anything to say in addition. I think OT is on the call. But in case you have anything to say, you have question, contribution. But my own question, or from my observation, most of the examples you gave were around e-commerce. You really did not speak to other sectors. You know, some people work within the B2B space here, while some work in other sectors that has nothing to do with e-commerce. So I would like to ask you, I don't know if this is part of the scope of your session, but I would like to ask before, I think I have one question here, but before I go into that question, I would like to ask, how can you spoke more about standard deviation. How can you use standard deviation for trend predictions within marketing that has nothing to do with e-commerce. Say, for instance, you are in a B2B environment, software as a service primarily or predominantly, and you want to use standard deviation to predict trends in terms of change in the behaviors of your users. Currently, I work within the B2B space, and the company I work with, they've enjoyed what do you call it, monopoly. Yeah, I can say monopoly or market dominance for a long period of time. And suddenly it looks like some other smaller companies are coming up and taking advantage of the market, coming up with prices that are a bit lower compared to what they offer. I feel that if the company at some point have seen this, have predicted that something like this will happen, maybe they will have, mitigate against the effect, because it looks like those guys are taking some market share. So how do you use standard deviation to predict the market in terms of pricing and possibly changing customer or user behavior?
Okay. So your question is, how do you use standard deviation to predict? So standard deviation is essentially not for prediction. It is just to understand, yes, it's just to understand your data better and know how you can use it to craft offers, right, for your audience, right? It is looking beyond the average. It is looking beyond because what we tend to do as in marketing is to say this is the average for this particular period, so it should represent everybody within that particular audience segment, right? But that's not exactly true because of the fact that each customer has something that is unique to them, right? They're at different levels. I work for a fintech, right? And if you want to do a referral campaign for a fintech, for instance, right? In this case, it's very possible for you to say that I want to just pick you get $20 for every 1,000 threshold of transaction, right? That's very arbitrary. But when you understand how many customers transact up to $1,000 in a month, how many of them transact $10,000, how many do $100,000, you're able to say that you're able to structure your referral campaign to say, okay, if you refer someone who does a transaction at a lower level of transaction, you get this amount of money as a referral bonus, and then this person gets a welcome bonus of X amount of money. For instance, now you say I have I want to structure a referral campaign for a fintech, and then I look at my data set and I realize that much of my my average spend is something around $1,000 in a month, and then I calculate my standard deviation to be something around $200, right? What I'm saying is that what the data tells me is that most of my transactions are between $800 and $1,200. So what I would do is to craft out an offer for people who transact less than $800 in a month. Craft out another offer for people who transact less than between $800 and $1,200 in a month, and then craft out a different offer for those who do above 1,002, right? Because of the fact that these referrals are targeted, I'm now able to structure my referral program to say, if you do transactions between 100 and or up to $800 in a month, you get a referral bonus of $100. If your downline does, if you bring in someone that does $800 in a month, you get $100 compensation or referral reward. But if you do up to 1,200, right, or if your referred customer does up to 1,200, you get $300. I'm rewarding you at your level, and I'm giving you an offer that is capable of getting you to get someone at your own level, not necessarily getting someone at lower levels. But if I arbitrarily just say $500 reward, $500 transaction, $100 reward, for someone who spends 1,002 or who has friends who spend 1,002 or transact 1,002 in a month, that is looking like too small to them, because they are wondering, so I have to do So does it now mean that if I do 1,200, I still get $100, despite the fact that I'm way above $500? So what standard deviation helps you to do is to look at your data set, right? To craft out offers that meet these guys at different levels, right? So that's an example of how standard deviation can apply to a fintech, right? For this can be for referrals, it can be for special offers around. Maybe if, for instance, now you are a fintech that is into what other example can I give? Maybe you are a fintech that has a savings plan, for instance, right? You can say that you can craft your interest based on how much people typically save, right? What's the average savings for this particular time period of 12 months for all of our customers, right? But beyond looking at the average, you need to now say which of our customers do below or above the standard deviation, because it helps you to know, it helps you to just craft an offer that is unbelievable to the customer, so to say, that is much more targeted. So that's how standard deviation actually works. It's not exactly for predicting sales or predicting results, but it just helps you to
more for creative campaign.
Yes, just for more creative campaigns.
Targeted campaign, yeah.
Yes.
All right, thank you so much. There's a question here. I'll read out that quickly. Said, thanks for the insight. I wanted to inquire about how best you adopt cross-department data touch points and determine the best identifiers to inform decisions. Okay, I want to inquire about how best you adopt cross-department data touch points and determine the best identifiers to inform decisions. I don't know if you get the question.
Yeah, I need further context.
You need more context. Okay, the person is an anonymous attendee. I will probably request that the person speak and speak to the question because it's really not clear also. So let me go to the next question here. If the anonymous attendee is able to identify itself or herself, I think that will be very good so that you can probably speak or explain better what you're trying to say. So there's a question here also. Say, thanks for this. It's been insightful so far. Says, are there other kinds of interpretations one can make from knowing the standard deviation in a marketing context? I think that was similar to what I said about other sector aside from just e-commerce.
Okay, so are there other interpretations? Yes, there are. So if, for instance, now you it's getting towards the end of the year, and typically I know that in Nigeria, there tends to be this trying to reward your customers for their loyalty throughout the year, right? If you work in a B2B sales environment or B2B environment, right, one of the things you can do is to craft your Christmas hamper using standard deviation, right? It looks like a very trivial thing to use data to do, but you can look at it to say, okay, instead of just arbitrarily assigning how much, assigning a different rewards packages to these customers, right? Why not look at how much they've done for us in terms of volume this year, right? To say, okay, this particular client has done this amount of money. So those who have done below or above the standard deviation gets the same thing, the same Christmas hamper, different from those who do not. That's a trivial way to look at the whole idea, but but you get the point, right? Another thing is you could also use that to inform maybe inform things like sales cycle or a payment cycle. If you're a salesperson, right? If you're a technical salesperson and you are trying to sell, and then you typically have a payment cycle to say, okay, in 60 days or in 90 days is how much that's the payment period for this particular invoice on this customer. You can use that, you can reward, you can give them those offers based on how much, based on how much their total order value or their total transaction with your company relates to the mean, not necessarily by not necessarily looking at it from the angle of just arbitrarily assigning to say this is the amount of time that we give our customers, right? You can structure your SLAs based on using standard deviation. Beyond even marketing, right? There are several other ways by which you can look at data beyond the average, right? To say, okay, this is how much customers typically do. A client that does 100,000 a month for you as a business should be given a better giving a less reward, right, or a less payment cycle to someone who does maybe 500,000 or 1 million naira in a month. You cannot adopt the same SLA for the two of them, or the same payment cycles for the two of them, right? That's just another example of how you can practically apply it.
And that relates potentially to risk assessment. And that was why I talked about trend prediction, still on the average, mid, and high, but it's a different conversation. So let me go to the next question. It said, I joined late. I don't want to call the person's name. It's just for GDPR compliance, so people can actually see it. I joined late and made the discussion of regression after standard deviation. What other statistical measures are relevant to marketing?
There are thousands of them. One of them is p-value or probability value. So the typical way we do this applies to A/B testing. When you're doing A/B testing, right? Say you are testing 2 ad creatives, right? And you want to know which one is much more effective, or you're testing email campaign headlines, right? I do that a lot at Expedia. I test email campaign headlines a lot, right? When you have done your test and your control group, and then your A/B test is complete, it is typical for us as growth marketers to just pick the winning creative or the winning email headline, right? Why that is correct or a sensible way to go about it. You could also be just going by chance, not necessarily data. But what that means is that it could be that those who open those emails at that point in time were more predisposed to opening their emails at that point in time. It may not necessarily be that that email headline is much more suitable for the campaign or for the email campaign. That creative is better, right? It may just be chance or probability, right? It may not really be as a result of as a result of the campaign or the creatives. But when you calculate the p-value, that gives you the level of significance of your results on your A/B test, you realize that you are able to get more insights, right? So that's just another example. Another example is correlation and causation, right? So correlation essentially tells you how much is the relationship between a particular thing and another thing, right? But that does not really tells you that this particular event is what caused this. You can, for instance, you have a billboard on whatever highway that you have it, maybe Third Mainland Bridge or somewhere, right? And then you realize that since you add that particular billboard on display, right, you have seen an increase in certain sections of your website, maybe because you put a QR code on the particular that leads straight into that particular section of your website, right, or something, right? Or you have seen an increase in app downloads, right? Why that is easy to attribute to say this is what caused this, why the billboard is what caused the increase in app downloads, right? You cannot exactly tell until you do an A/B test, right? To say, let's put it out for 5 weeks and then not put out the banner for under 5 weeks or the billboard for under 5 weeks. Right. In that particular case, what you'll be doing if you just assign your results to just that billboard is that you are typically saying that it was not possible that people downloaded the app without seeing the billboard. What you essentially be saying is that particular billboard is the only one that accounts for all of the downloads. Maybe someone stumbled on your brand in a different point, right? That's another example of how you could use statistical concepts, right? I'm trying not to confuse us because there are several ways. Another thing Yeah, and another one is what's it called now? Anyway, I'm just going to stop there, but I don't know if I've answered your
All
question.
right. Yeah, I think you've made a very good attempt. All right, thanks everyone. We are going to be closing out. So please join us again next week as we are going to be having Tolulope Olorundero take us on corporate communications in the digital age, how you can leverage digital platforms to sustain corporate reputation, secure public trust, and improve talent attraction. Like I said earlier, that's a lot in one. So you want to join us next week? Thank you so much, Bemi. We look forward to having you some other time.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, guys. I wish you guys a splendid day ahead. Bye, everyone.
Yeah, bye everyone. Thank you.